Today we're doing a full body muscle building dumbbell workout. So if that sounds good to you, if you could hit that like button for me to help me out and let me know you want more of this type of content. We're doing a workout that's only gonna require dumbbells, so we're not using a bench or anything else here. This is entirely doable at home with a set of dumbbells. We're gonna get started right away. With a warm up, I like to start out with a light set of dumbbells for a warm up. So the first exercise we're gonna do is gonna be laying on the ground. One moment. All right, so laying on the ground, we're going to do a pectoral fly. So working these chest muscles and a little bit of the front of the shoulder and bicep. So you're gonna lay on your back with your arms slightly bent and your hands right over the top of your shoulders. So don't have them down here, right over the top of the shoulders. From here, you're going to bring your arms out to the sides, almost touching the dumbbells to the ground, and then back in towards the middle. Now you don't want to hit the dumbbells together. You want to bring your hands back over the top of your shoulders and then back out to the sides. So I'm never laying the dumbbells clanked together. It's very important. I knew someone in college who actually hit them together and shattered the dumbbells and it hit them in the face. They had to get some tooth repair after that. So we want to make sure that's not going to happen to you. So don't hit those dumbbells together. Doing 10 reps. This is just getting blood flow into your shoulder and chest. So we're starting with a light dumbbell. This is also a great way to see if you are still sore from the last workout you did. If this is a little bit too hard at a very light dumbbell, then you might need an extra day of rest between. So this is a great time to sort of evaluate, how do I feel today? And then you can adjust accordingly. Sometimes that means you have an extra rest day, or you might need to do a little bit lighter of a dumbbell to ease into this than you would normally do. So if you're feeling a little bit tired or a little bit not quite there, you can adjust accordingly in your workout. So that means just you might need a little bit lighter dumbbell on that particular day. So now we're going to do a bent over row. This is working the muscles in the back of the shoulder blade and some of the lat as well. From here, you're gonna hold the dumbbells out straight. You're gonna try and hinge at your hips. So pushing your hips to the back. So I'm keeping my back straight. I'm really pushing those hips out towards the back. That's going to keep that back protected from any sort of curving. So from here, I'm gonna pull up to the back, pinching my shoulder blades together. I'm working those muscles in the upper back and shoulder, trying to go all the way from a hang to a pull. So letting those arms come all the way back forward, still keeping my back straight. Doing about 10 reps of these, getting some blood flow into the shoulders. And 10. So we're gonna warm up each movement we're doing. So now we're going to go into a vertical press. So I'm gonna bring the dumbbells up to my shoulders, right on the outside of my shoulders. So I don't want them here, I want them wide to get a little bit more onto my traps. These muscles up here in the top of my neck. So I'm gonna keep that width the whole time. So my hands are right here in front of my shoulder. And from here, I'm gonna push up towards the ceiling. Now see, I'm not bringing the dumbbells in together. I'm pushing straight up and then back down. This is working the muscles in the top of my shoulder. Really trying to bend that elbow as you come down, really bending that elbow. So back to the front of the shoulder and up. Doing 10 reps of these. The entire way up, all the way down to the front of that shoulder. And 10. Now we're gonna work the muscle in the front of the arm, in that bicep muscle. So we're gonna do a wall curl. I really like these for not needing any extra equipment, but adding the wall makes it so that it really isolates that bicep muscle. So from here, make sure that I actually am going live. Yeah, I am. All right, just making sure. Sometimes it doesn't quite go through. So you're gonna tuck your elbows into your sides, and you want your hands out a little bit in front of you like this. So if they're down here, gravity is pulling me straight down against my ligaments. As opposed to if they're here, a little bit in front of you, then that's going to, in this position, I'm putting all that tension into the muscle. So keeping the head and hips against the wall, curling up to the front, doing 10 reps of this. Seven, 8. Now I'm trying to keep the dumbbells flat as well. I'm not letting them curve like this into a hammer curl. I'm keeping them pointed straight to the sides. Imagine like you're holding a plate of food that you don't want to tip. So this is more of a hammer curl. This is that bicep curl. So just two different muscles. The hammer curl hits more down here in the forearm. So we want that bicep to really build up this upper arm up here. Excuse me. Okay. So that was our warm up for our upper body. Now we're gonna move just a little bit to the lower body to warm up the legs. So we're gonna do just a few body weight squats. So your feet are gonna be about shoulder width apart, hands in front, bending the knees, like you're sitting down on a chair. So sitting down, trying to keep that back straight. So if you can, try and bend the knees a little bit towards the front to keep your back straight. You want to think about your ears dropping straight down to the ground. Nine and 10. All right, your heart rate should be a little bit elevated right now. We should be ready to go. Got some blood flowing through the body. So now we're gonna go into our supersets. And what supersets are is a pair of exercises where we don't use the same muscles in each exercise. So we're gonna do exercises in pairs of 2s. That doesn't make sense, don't worry, it's actually way easier than it sounds. So I'm gonna grab a heavier dumbbell. Now, if you don't have a heavier dumbbell, you can do more reps and that will get you the same effect. So if you only have one set of dumbbells, that's okay. If you are looking for the dumbbells I have, I put links down below that are affiliate links that help support the channel. But if you're looking for a good set of dumbbells, I highly recommend these because you can adjust the weight to whatever you need for a particular exercise. So we're going into a pectoral fly. So laying on your back, hands right over the top of your shoulders. And from here, slight bend in your elbow. We're gonna bring your hands out to the sides, tap, and then back in towards the middle. Should be working your chest muscle as you do this. You should feel that right across your chest. Now I like this on the floor because if I need to, I can just set the weights down on the floor and get out of this position if I need to. If I'm on a bench, it's a pretty long way for those weights to fall. 9, and one more, and 10. And it actually gives extra support to my shoulders to do it this way as well. Now our second exercise, we just worked the muscles in the front. Now we're gonna work the muscles in the back. So we're going to do that bent over row. So hips against a wall, leaning towards the front, keeping that back straight. With thumbs point in, I'm pinching up to my shoulders, pulling wide, trying to go for 10 reps. Now the important thing is I go back to a full hang on this movement. So I'm going all the way back down. And relax. Now, you might see people doing a row like this, where their thumbs point up, rather than like this, where their thumbs point in. Both are perfectly fine. It's just what muscle do you want to emphasize with this movement? If my hand is thumb pointed up, like this, I'm emphasizing more of those lat muscles that create that triangle of your back. Now, if I'm like this, I'm emphasizing more of these shoulder muscles up in my back and neck area, and that traps. So personally, I'm trying to build a bit more of those traps. Take a moment, catch your breath. And we'll go back one more set of each of these exercises. Now, I'd like to shoot for 10 reps on the exercises because I find it's a good balance of muscle endurance and muscle strength. However, if you're just looking for muscle building, it doesn't matter if you go heavy weights for low reps or low weight for high reps, as long as you are challenging the muscle. So it's actually been pretty well studied, and studies show that you can do between 5 and 30 reps and you will grow equal amounts of muscle as long as you are approaching muscle failure or producing the same amount of fatigue in the muscle. So, the goal with this is to feel that burning feeling in the muscle, because that's actually lactic acid building up in that muscle, causing fatigue. So you want to feel that tension in the muscle and feel that burning in the muscle. Now, that's not a tearing feeling or a stinging feeling. If you feel that, that's a good sign to take a break, let that muscle heal. So I'm just going until somewhere around 10. I'm just going until I feel that muscle fatigue. And 10. Whew. Those last reps should be difficult. It should feel challenging. If it's not challenging, try to add a few more reps and see if if you can get through those. The closer we can get to that, the more muscle we can build. So the goal is to try and be within 1 or 2 reps of that point where you can't lift the weight again. That's called muscle failure. We don't want to quite hit that, but we want to get right underneath that. So that's that sweet spot of muscle fatigue versus muscle growth. So we're minimizing fatigue while maximizing growth still. Going here, letting the arms hang, pulling up to the back, doing that bent over, pronated row. Seven, 8, 9, 10. All right, so that was our first superset where we paired exercises together. Now we're gonna go into our second superset, which we're gonna target that bicep and the tricep. So these 2 muscles together. First exercise is bicep, second exercise is tricep. If you're liking this video and want to see more, or if you want to be here live, if you're watching us after, hit that subscribe button for me. I host these live streams on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you have any questions, or if you want just someone to encourage you in your goals and getting fit together, then I'd love to see you guys here Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. All right, I'm gonna lighten the dumbbell a little bit. And we're gonna go into wall curls. So from here, back against the wall, head against the wall too, so there's no swinging. So we don't wanna do this, where I'm actually just working my low back. And that's actually gonna risk hurting your low back too. We don't want that. So hands out in front, elbows tucked into your sides, lifting up to the front, doing that no cheat wall curl. Six, 7, feel that burning in your upper arm. 8, 9, and 10. B2, how are you? Good to see you. And doing an overhead press now. I'm gonna bring my hands right to the front of my shoulders on the outside. From here, pushing up towards the ceiling, keeping that width in your arms. Good to see you. How are you, my friend? Trying for 10 reps of this. I like this one because it's working not only the back of the arm and that tricep, but also is working those deltoids and traps at the same time. So all those muscles around the top part of your shoulder. 10. Whew. That one, for me, really burns the front of that anterior deltoid, that front deltoid part of your shoulder. Really feel a great workout in that muscle for sure. B2 says, I have triceps tomorrow. Could you tell an exercise for the long head apart from the skull crusher and overhead extension with dumbbells? Only have those at home. That's a good question. Let me think for a moment. So you want something for the long head that is not a skull crusher or an overhead extension. So you want something that is going to be elbow above the shoulder. You could do an overhead press because you're still lengthening. You're bringing that elbow above the shoulder, so you will get a long head activation on that. Like so B2 says, I do tricep kickbacks, overhead extensions, skull crushers, any other exercise to target the long head to get a really good stretch. Just to add to the workout, really. Yeah, so anything that brings that elbow above the shoulder, you could probably just do a pullover to add some long head. Just thinking for a moment. Oh, here's one. If you wanted to, you could do more of a guillotine press, where it's a little bit more like a bench press. So instead of a skull crusher, which is over your head, you could bring the elbows a little bit down and then bring the dumbbells to the front of your neck, or not front of your neck, but sort of right by your neck. So you're still gonna get some of that long head, but it's not quite so up here. You will get a little bit more of that chest as well. So you'll probably want to, if you have heavier dumbbells, I would do that, but you'd still get some of that long head. As long as you don't drop your elbows way down here, you want to keep those elbows still up and wide. So you'll get some of your chest, some of the long head of the tricep. That's another variation you could do. You could also do a two-handed, this is kind of like a skull crusher, but yeah, a little bit more of that. You'd have to use a heavier dumbbell. It's kind of a two-handed skull crusher. Depends on what you mean by skull crusher. So those are two variations I would try to get still that tricep activation, while giving you a slightly different variation of an exercise. So that guillotine press, rather than up here at the skull crusher, it's right at the neck, puts a little bit more onto the chest, but you'll still get that tricep. It's a good question though, that's tricky. Easy bar skull crushers, okay. That makes sense. So, I would say do the guillotine press with dumbbells, not a barbell, just because you don't want something going right across your throat. I'd be careful with that. I would rather do that with dumbbells personally. Okay. You could also do sort of diamond push-ups like this, but sort of on the wall, high push-ups. And then the lower you go, the more tension that's gonna be. So if you want to do body weight, you could do that as well to get that long head, because you're elevating that elbow while having that high tension by bending the elbow. So if you're looking for a body weight variant, that is something you could do. You could even do it on like a bar here and push. I would need to be a little bit lower. I don't quite have the setup for that at the moment, so this gets in my way. But the more out you are, the more it's gonna create that movement. Yeah, diamonds, definitely you'll feel it right in here, doing that diamond. Yeah, it's not dumbbells, but it will hit that long head. Just make sure the thing I like in doing it at an angle means you can get those elbows higher. Usually it's hard to get that when you're in a full push-up position, you're getting some of that chest or more of that chest in. So going for curls, tucking those elbows into your sides. We'll do it facing this way so you can see. So I don't want my hands to deviate out. I want to get them right in front of my shoulders, pulling up to the front. Yeah, try those and let me know how it goes. Should see if you feel that in your tricep. And 10. All right, do an overhead press, dumbbells wide at shoulder width, pushing up towards the ceiling. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. All right, we'll go to legs in just a second. I'm still thinking about any other way we could do that tricep to answer B2's question. There's usually more ways to do a workout, and so I'd like to give a lot of different options because everyone has a little bit different setup. Sometimes too, one exercise will work really well for one person and not as well for another person, so you have to find the variation that works best for you. So, yeah, I think that's what I'd really recommend is trying to do diamond, or you could even do it single arm. Just bringing your elbow to the wall and then back out. Just make sure your elbow is high. If you can though, having a little bit past would be ideal. Whoa, I can feel that I did triceps just now. Going from overhead press into a wall push-up is pretty tough. B2 says, I've been training my chest, triceps, biceps, and shoulders for the last 3 months. Excellent. Have you seen some growth in those muscles? No back, never really done weights for legs, no abs with weights. I've been liking doing, I tend to do back with shoulders, doing a lot of rowing movements, because it gets these muscles in the upper back and shoulders, as well as these muscles back in here. Right now I'm doing body weights for legs, because I, about 3 weeks ago, smashed the front of my knee. And so that's still, I hit what's called the bursa, which is a lubricating part of the front of the knee. So that swelled up. I'm letting that still heal up. It hasn't fully gone back to normal yet, so I try and keep just a body weight for legs. So I'm still working my muscles in my legs and hips, but I'm giving my body time to heal. It'll probably get back to normal within the next month or two. Within the next month, probably. It's been a month, give or take. So probably within the next month, it'll be all back to normal. So I'm gonna do a bodyweight squat for legs. Feet about shoulder width apart. You can have your hands crossed across your chest or in front. Now, if you want to, you can hold oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. You can hold a dumbbell in front of your chest and do the same movements. For today, I'm doing body weight, so I'm just going to leave the dumbbells out. So you can have your hands right here like you were holding a dumbbell, bending the knees down and back up. Now I'm keeping my chest up when I'm doing this. So I'm bending, trying to go low while still keeping my chest up. Nine. I'm gonna go more than 10 for this one. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. I'm going for that burn in my legs. I have to do more reps because I'm doing lighter weight. Tried for back. I could only do rows because I only have dumbbells and one barbell. So I did 3 variations of bent over row, changing grips and position. That's all. That's great, actually. The row is such a good exercise for this. You don't need to do a million different exercises for a muscle. One good exercise performed well over time is what you need to build that muscle. So if you have dumbbells, you could do a row like this, or a barbell. Grab that barbell, pulling up to the back. Either of those is fine. And the consistency is what's gonna build you that muscle in your back. Now, another great thing you could do is doing sort of a body weight row, point up like this, where you're really gonna get that lat engaged as well. Now I'm dropping my hips a little bit back so I can get my shoulder to where my arm is up from my shoulder. That's gonna get that lat pull more like this. If I'm like this, I'm not getting that full range of the lats. But it's just another variation in the same thing, that same row. So if you found one that works well for you, I'd stick with that. Find a grip that you can feel that back, those lat muscles engage with, and stick with it. Isn't bent over row looked down upon because of injury risk, also being bad for joints over time? So bent over row is, if executed correctly, I would say is not going to hurt your low back. If you do have pain in the bent over row, it's a great indicator that you could do a supported row instead. I would not say that it is a higher injury risk necessarily, but if you know for you, maybe you have a compromised lower back, or it's more sensitive to that movement, I would encourage you to do instead a supported row. That is a great question. I don't think we should be afraid of an exercise, but be aware if it hurts, that's an indicator something's wrong. So instead of doing a bent over row like this, where it's 2, you could add either support by leaning against something to give more support back here, or do one arm at a time, put your hand against a post or a wall. That will give that extra support here. So I'm supporting and then rowing with the other arm. And that helps take some of that pressure off the low back. So those are a couple variations you could do to give yourself an advantage where you're able to focus on not your low back, but focus in on your lats. Personally, I like to do bench rows where I'm supporting on a bench kind of like this, supporting on the bench, pulling up to the back. I know not everyone has access to a bench though, so if you have a wall, same thing, put your hand on the wall, supported rows, or this way. I don't have a wall here. Doing like this. Good question though. And I would always say we want to try and limit injury. So this next exercise, I actually like it because it cues your body to be able to do a bent over row effectively. So we're going to be working on the muscles in the back of the legs and hips, these hamstrings and glutes that help support your body in that bent over row position. So what I'm going to do, have my feet about shoulder width apart, back straight, so I'm going to look up. From here, I'm going to push my hips backwards. You could even do this in front of a wall. Take one step forward, and then what I want you to do is try and push your hips back into that wall. So I'm back against the wall, one step forward, and then I'm going to try and hinge from my hips, pushing my hips into that wall. So I'm engaging these muscles in the back of my thigh. By pushing my hips back, see how my back stays straight? That's that same position you want to do in a bent over row. So we're training your body to utilize those hamstrings and the big hinges of your hips, not these little hinges of the lower back. So I'm hinging from my waist, from those hip joints. And this is that big joint that can handle it, rather than these little joints that can't, or that shouldn't. So this, I call a two-legged golf pickup, because it's like you're reaching down to pick up a golf ball. But I know other people call this an RDL, or Romanian deadlift. I like to do this with body weight because I find a lot of people have tight hamstrings, and that actually can contribute to that pain in your lower back, because your hamstrings aren't moving like they're supposed to. Trying to reach as low as you can down your leg. So if you can get below your knee, that's great. If you can get all the way down to your ankles without rounding your back, that's the important thing. It's no rounding the back, so none of this. It's all from pushing those hips backwards. So I tried that. I have anterior pelvic tilt. It's where your hips are tilted this way. Even though my low back feels less of a load, it still stresses out my back overall. So I decided to only work on my back once I join a gym. Till then, pull-ups only. Hey, pull-ups are a great back workout. And that's good because it also decompresses the spine as you hang. That's very good. I would say if you have a pull-up bar, pull-ups are great. Even though I can then decide to only work on my back when I join gym, till then pull-ups. Even though I can only do like 5 in a row, hey, 5 is great. You can build muscle with 5, you can build muscle with 30. We just want to make sure we're challenging the muscle. And 5 being on a good day. What you can do with pull-ups is you could do a negative pull-up where you could put something to step up on. So say I'm over here. So I step up and then slowly lower myself down to the ground. So if you're struggling with doing full pull-ups, do a couple full and then a couple assisted where you do like this and down. So I'm stepping up and then slowly down. And now we'll get you those extra half reps and help you build that strength, because we still build strength going down and still build muscle going in that going down position. That does help increase rep pull-up count. So if you can do the full reps, that's great. If you get to a point where you can't though, those extra half reps all add up. So it will it will contribute to that pull-up strength and increase that muscle size. You actually build more muscle, probably. Studies are indicating currently that you build more muscle in that lengthened position. So the more times you can get into that lengthened position under tension, the better. So we're doing those extra forced reps at the end, and it can be a great way of adding to that pull-up workout where you couldn't lift concentrically, that going up part, but you can still support eccentrically. So it can be a great way of start, especially that's how I would start someone who couldn't do one pull-up, is do assisted pull-ups, whether that's using a band like this to take off some of that load, or doing assisted pull-ups where they either jump or step up on something to get up to the pull-up bar. So I would recommend that step up and then slowly down. And that would be a good way of adding to those reps. Try it out for a month and see if your rep count doesn't increase. So I would give it a good effort though. Give yourself a month and see how many you can do now. You said 5 on a good day. See if that doesn't become 6 or 7 reps in a month. So trying again for squats. Actually, we're gonna throw in a lateral raise. I just forgot about this. I wanna try and emphasize the shoulder a little bit more. So between our leg exercises, we're gonna do a lateral raise, starting with your hands out to your sides, thumbs pointed towards the front. What you're gonna do is just like you're making a snow angel, lift up to the sides and then back down. Now, if this is uncomfortable on your shoulder, instead of going straight out to the sides, you can go a little bit towards the front into sort of a V towards the front. That's okay. It'll hit a little bit more of that anterior deltoid, but it can take a little bit of that pressure off your shoulder to help you feel better in that shoulder joint. I'm trying for about 10 of these. 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna go for 11. 11 and 12. I think 12 is a good number for today. It feels pretty good today. I could get maybe 1 or 2 more of those before muscle gave out. All right, going back to legs, going for bodyweight squats, trying to do as many reps as I can until I feel that burning in my quads right in here. So back straight, bending the knees, going down, really trying to keep the hips from bending back like this. I'm trying to focus this more on my knee position. $13, $14, try and go between 15 and 20. 15 for me personally, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And now going for an RDL or a double leg golf pickup. So you're gonna go to a wall, back fly against the wall, and take 1 step forward. Now you're gonna drive your hips backwards, keeping your back straight. It's all from this hip joint right in here. So I'm pushing back. Now this is great if you are tight in your hamstrings, where you feel that pulling in the back of your thigh, because you're not only stretching them, but you're strengthening them in that stretch position. Trying to keep your back straight as you can. Driving those hips backwards. Going until I feel tired in my hamstrings, or if my back starts to round, where I'm not controlling that movement anymore, I'm gonna stop there. You know, on Monday, I woke up after Monday's workout, I woke up and my hamstrings were so sore from this, even with just body weight. It's because they've gotten tight quickly, not doing as much legs after I hit my knee. But the good thing is, they'll come back to normal quickly as I'm doing these. All right, just about out of water. Waking up with sore legs is so satisfying. True, very true. It's almost like admiration from your body for working hard. That's a great way of looking at it. It's, you know, you've accomplished what you set out to do. Now, you don't have to feel sore to grow muscle, but feeling sore in the right places is a good thing of knowing, oh man, I hit that muscle, I really pushed it. So as long as you're able to recover by the next time you need to work out, being sore is okay. We don't want to be so sore though that it causes pain and other problems for you, like where you can't walk or move around like you need to. So a little bit of soreness is good, but as long as it's within, let's say between a 3 and a 5 out of 10. So 1 being not sore at all, I'd say between a 3 and a 5 is a good place to shoot for. 10, 11, and 12, and relax. Now sometimes, I know for me, when I'm on a low calorie diet, that soreness is a little bit more. So I know for me, I push a little bit less hard the first week or two of a calorie deficit, because I know it's gonna hit me harder the next day. You know, for me, sometimes it's the night of I get sore. So I can feel it when I go to bed that my muscles in the quads or muscles in the hamstrings have a little bit of that tension feeling of that soreness. So I know I'm gonna wake up the next day with that. So if you like these sort of workouts and wanna be here live, hit that subscribe button for me and the bell, because that will notify you when we're live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you have questions or want to come hang out, looking for someone to encourage you in your workouts, I'd love to help as any way I can. So good to see you. Thank you guys for being here.